everybody, welcome to another episode of Card Talk, a podcast where we spend a little bit of time talking about cards from Lord of the Rings card game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Grant Thompson, just along for the ride. And today we're talking about one of my favourite heroes from the Black Serpent, which is from this Radram cycle called Fastred. He is a 9-cost, 1 willpower, 2 attack power, 3 defense power, 3 hit point Rohan warrior with the response after Fastred defends an enemy attack, return that enemy to the staging area and reduce your threat by 2. And he's in the spirit sphere.
As I'm sitting here looking at the card, I've tried to use Fastred a couple of times in a deck, and I kind of go back to all these amazing deck builders that we've had on in guest episodes where where they talk about taking advantage of a hero's ability to its fullest. And so, the beauty of Fastred is that he can, if he attacks an enemy, it goes back to the staging area. Now,
enemy attack, you mean?
After he defends the enemy attack. So it's not him attacking, he has to defend the enemy. Yeah. And so, that's a hard, what do I want to say? That's a hard ability to control. There are some enemies who attack outside of the attack phase that this may be something worth thinking about, like, hey, during the quest phase, if something makes an attack or engages you and makes an immediate attack, then push it back into the staging area. You don't have to worry about it. But it's hard to find a way to maximize that ability, except for, and I'm not going to steal your thunder by explaining it, but it's like him and Dunhere are almost like brothers. Like, Fastred bounces it back to the staging area, whatever enemy it is, and then Dunhere can attack it in the staging area and get his +1 bonus, and then you can load Dunhere up. Now that strategy to me works a lot better single-handed or maybe 2-player, but if you have 3 or 4 or 5 enemies that are going to engage you, I think it seems to me that sort of strategy would get overrun. But I think that Fastred he's not necessarily going to be used as as an attacker because of his ability. And so there's other cards that you can use as an attacker that are a little bit better, especially in the Spirit Sphere. And he's not going to be your quester. So he's got 3 defense and 3 hit points. So, and that makes him a good defender, but that doesn't make him the best defender. So if you're going to use him as your defender, I think that unless you take advantage of his ability, you're missing out, because you can use Spirit Baragon in there and you get a way better defender, and it has a different ability. So that said, Grant, go ahead and tell us how you use Fastred, or what pairs nicely with him.
Right. Well, I primarily use Fastred in my Dunhere Duckshoot deck. I replaced them for Lord Denethor.
You mean you replaced Lord Denethor with him?
Yeah,
okay.
That's what was. And that was on account of 2 things. A, I wasn't always scrying, but B, with me Duckshoot deck, I wanted to lower me threat as much as possible. So what I did is I took the initial idea of the Duckshoot deck and altered it, so I was starting off as low as possible. Now, the original Duckshoot was Denethor, Eowyn, Dunhere. I give you a quester, Dunhere for the attacker, Denethor for defending anything that came down, or scrying the top of the encounter deck. Well, I moved away from that slightly. I went for Dunhere, Spirit Glorfindel, and Fastred, which starts off at low threat.
So it's mono spirit.
Yes, it is. And I put in things like Good Harvest to get other cards out. But for what works really well with Fastred are things like Dunhere Warning, the Golden Shield, which, yes, are
I always forget about that Golden Shield because I always think that the Golden Shield goes on Eowyn, which it does, but it's a Rohan.
Yeah,
so you can put that on any of your defenders. Now, the Golden Shield, if I'm not mistaken, probably is not the best because doesn't it turn willpower into defense?
Yes, it does. It adds his willpower to his defense.
So that's not necessarily the best for Fastred, but
it's
something.
But if you're running Mono Spirit like I do, I have put in cards that normally don't see the light of day that boost willpower, like the Favor of the Lady.
Oh, so remember that core set, Butte.
Yeah. So in actual fact, I can bump them up to say 4 willpower.
Okay.
Defense,
and I guess if you can always choose where to put Favor of the Lady, then too, you can put it on Eowyn or you can put it somewhere else. So.
Yeah. So it was just a case of I wanted a good defender. So I chose Fastred. He was in the Rohan sphere, and it was like enemies are going to engage you pretty much no matter what your threat level is throughout the sets. So it was like, okay, I want a way of bouncing them back to the staging area and reducing my threat. So he seemed like an obvious choice when he came out. Then pair that with the Dunhere who can attack into the staging area. For me, it was a no-brainer. I like both style. I like Dunhere. He's one of my core set classics. But I've also found he works quite well with leadership Eomer. So you take an enemy down, you bounce them back to the staging area, Eomer kills them the next round.
It can be good. I feel like it could get overrun, though, that Fastred, can't, I guess, and it's because you're limited once per phase. So even if you have Unexpected Courage on Fastred, he can defend multiple times, but you can only bounce him back and lower your threat by 2 once per round.
Yeah,
once per phase.
Yeah, I've had me Dunhere duck shoot deck overrun a couple of times with an enemy swarm. I've just recorded an episode of me duck shoot deck going into the pit. And
Horses in Moria?
Something like that. They weren't actually riding on horses.
Well, no, but like Rohan is the horse lords in Moria.
Yeah, which it worked. But I did a test run of 7th level, and I got overrun. I had 2 great cave.
I was going to say in the 7th level. Isn't that the one where?
No.
You have like the Book of Mazarbel, but that's the Goblin Swordsman where the shadow effect as they come into play, and there's the one that has the surge and the when revealed effect to reveal another card. There's like the double surge or whatever. Yeah.
I had quite a bit of overpowered. I had 2 Goblin Swordsmen and a Goblin Spearman both engage me on the turn.
Right, and that's what I think I'm saying is that Fastred is good. Maybe it's better with multiplayer. Maybe it's better with 3 or 4 players where you can then ultimately control where who's engaging what and the optional engagement. It's
easier 2-player. I don't play a lot of 3 or 4 player games, so I can't comment. But I've played a lot of 2-player games using me duck shoot, using solo.
I guess the reason why I say that is that with Fastred, you want to have the ability to not engage the enemies if you want to. So if you're playing with another player or another couple players that can take those enemies out of the staging area, then that kind of helps. But you also don't want to feel like a chump. Like I can only defend 1 guy this round, so I'm going to take 1 out of the 7 people that are in the staging area.
I run other defenders in my duck shoot. I've got Jabir there, just in case I do end up getting more enemies out, I have ways of dealing with them, but it's primarily Fastred defends, Dunhere attacks. Glorfindel is there for if any enemies are left in the state in play with me, along with a couple of riders of Rohan.
And you talked about Aemir as one of the options there to pair with him. Aemir isn't the reason why Aemir is good is because you'd be able to kill him the next round. So you push him back to the staging area, and then you'd be able to kill him the next round. I wanted to make sure I actually called Aemir up on the screen. You know, like when you, it's not even when you quest successfully. It's just you have to commit to the quest. You spend one, and you can attack it in the staging area.
Yeah, and a good thing about running Aemir with Fastred is the fact that you gain access to the leadership sphere, which gives you access to the marks and the warnings.
Yeah, I actually, looking at Fastred, I'm actually, this is going to sound so weird, I'm not as high on his card art. I mean, it's well done, but just the style, like for some reason, there's something about his card art that I'm not a fan of. Maybe it's that I feel like his face is being obscured, but you can tell he's in the throes of battle. He's got his shield up, and there's a horse head on the shield, and he's got the fires in the background and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know, there's something about it. He looks a little halfling-ish to me, I guess.
Yeah, his face does have that halfling-esque look.
Yeah.
But I've got to admit, it pictures that actually encompasses what he does. He blocks them off with the shield, and he's about to go in for the sword, but somebody else gets a kill.
You don't want to run Dunedains with this guy, because Dunedains get all their bonuses for engaging people, and this is... So, I mean, it seems like he's kind of a niche here. It doesn't look like he's niche, but like it's kind of a... In my opinion, he doesn't really go, like, you're not going to use him to splash spirit, like I said at the beginning. Like, it's just, I think he pairs really nicely with Dunhere, and maybe that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't pair well with Haldia, who can attack enemies in the staging area with his ability.
That's right.
Because of the fact that you've engaged an enemy. Yes, you've bounced it back, but you've still engaged. Haldia is when you don't engage, you can attack something that's not engaged with you. So it's not even like that was a viable option.
Right, because that one little condition where you can't engage somebody this round.
Yeah. But taking as what he is, he's good at what he does. That 2 threat drop, you're pretty much using that every turn. Yes, it's one enemy, but if you're getting an enemy out and you're killing it each turn, that's that.
I mean, I guess it's a good way to get repeatable threat loss, but threat reduction. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem.
David, you've seen my threat at the end of a game be 0 before.
Oh yeah.
Using this deck. So
I get that, but it was, again, you were still using it to its fullest effect.
Yeah.
You were using it with Dunhere, and you were using it with a quester. You know, like, so, I mean, I get that any hero that you build around that is used, but I guess the challenge is, how do you use Fastred outside of using it with Dunhere or Aemir? You know, like, I don't know if you do, and that's what I'm saying.
He's still an alright defender. He's basically Denethor from the Lore Sphere.
Right, but if you're gonna use him, why not use Spirit Baragond, which has 4 defense and 4 hit points, and every time you successfully defend, you lower your threat by 1.
Well, it's not successfully defend; it's when you don't take damage from a defense.
Oh, okay, right.
So,
right, that's what I mean. But I mean that like I think
that again is limit once per round.
Right.
So even if you take, say, 4 enemies with Baragon, because you've got, say, 4 defenses with them, you only lower your threat by 1. Now, yes, again, that isn't that substantial, but...
and you can put Armored Destroyer on this guy.
Yes,
on Baragon. I mean, I get what you're saying, and I don't doubt the power of him within certain decks. I'm not arguing that. My point is, I think he's just way more niche-y than what he even seems to be like I think that it looks like you should use him in a lot of decks. Like it looks like, oh, I'm going to splash, I'm going to be able to reduce my threat, but he's not going to be that guy. I don't think he's that guy. Should we ring this guy?
Yep, let's ring him.
Okay, for anybody who doesn't know the show, we have a highly scientific yet arbitrary system where we ring each card on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 ring is the one card to rule them all, and 10 rings means the trash bin, where we'll never play this card ever. And so, Grant, I'll let you go first, since you have such a fanboy crush on Fastred. How would you ring Fastred?
In all honesty, I ring him a 3. As he said, he's not going to go into every deck. But at the same time, I've used him and I can appreciate what he does. And that 2 threat drop, that could mitigate a Doom, like Doom 1, and raising your threat that turn from the round. So it works. I'm not saying it's the best, but it works.
Let me just say, Grant, you're wrong. So,
it's just my opinion.
No,
Back off,
I don't. Whatever. We've been doing this podcast now for a year and a half, where I'm allowed to tell you you're wrong. So let me just tell you that I think that Fastred is nichier than people say, or people, when you read him, it looks like you should be able to use him a lot, and I just don't think you can in any way use him a ton. I think that I've tried. Like I said at the very beginning, I tried to use him when he first came out. There was a couple of things I was doing, and it just never worked out. You're never getting that threat reduction unless you are pairing him with Dunhere and somebody that can quest. So, that's the pairing, and I think that that's it. I don't think that they're like. He's good for what he does, but he only does it in one way, maybe 2. So because of that, I'm going to give him 8 rings. He doesn't work with me.
That's just because you haven't used them properly.
Well, like I said, we were harsh on Celeborn when we're thinking, because, he only fits into one deck. And I think that this guy fits into kind of just one deck type, and that's that's why I say that, is because he may not fit into one deck type, but he doesn't fit into many.
I'll give you that. But what I wouldn't say he's limited to one deck. You can use them in others, but generally speaking, yes, you want to take enemies out the staging area to stop them contributing threat. I
think you're thinking about your ring rating, and you're going to change your answer.
No,
I'll give you a chance. Go ahead. 1, 2, 3, go. What's your ring rating?
I'm sticking at 3.
Oh, okay. Okay, everybody. Join us next time as we talk about more cards from Lord of the Rings card game. Have a great day. And if you're interested in finding this or any of our back episodes of Card Talk, feel free to search YouTube, where you can find our flagship video episodes with the username Card Talk 2018. Or you can search the RSS feed, cardtalk2018.libsyn.org, for our extended audio versions of our podcast. Or you can find us on Facebook at Card Talk 2018. And if you have any questions for Grant or myself, or for both of us, feel free to email us at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.